Usually I make small tapered legs by cutting 4 individual legs and joining them with an apron. It looks great, but it takes a taper jig, an apron, and joinery. Today I'm going to show you a much simpler way that just uses a table saw and doesn't require measuring any angles or fancy joinery. By using 2 long pieces like this, you get the same visual effect when viewed from the front. From the side, it looks different, and whether you like that look is up to you. Some pieces of furniture will almost never be viewed from the side, or you might prefer the look in some cases. Personally, I decide on a piece-by-piece basis. To get started, you'll need a long, thick piece of wood. It should be about the same length as the depth of your cabinet, measured from front to back. It also needs to be at least as thick and as tall as you want your finished legs to be. Today I'm going to make my legs from a single piece of pukte. This is a hardwood native to Mexico. It's extremely hard and very resistant to scratches. This piece is long enough that I can cut both legs from the same board. The nightstand is 39 centimeters deep, and I want the legs inset slightly from the edge, so I'm going to cut them to a final length of 38 centimeters. I also want the finished legs to be 6 centimeters tall and 5 centimeters wide, so I'm going to rip this block down to those dimensions on the table saw. Since this wood is so hard, I'm going to make these cuts in a couple of passes. I find it easier to do most of the sanding before cutting everything apart while it's still one solid piece. I'll use a belt sander to remove the saw marks, then an orbital sander to bring everything to 120 grit. When I cut the wood to length, it burned a little from the saw blade. This face is going to be the front of the leg, so I want to prepare it well since it'll be the most visible surface. You may have already realized one potential downside to this method. The front of the leg, the part you'll see the most, is end grain. Whether that's a drawback is really up to you. If you like the look of the wood's end grain, it's not a problem. I think this looks pretty nice, but it's something I'd evaluate on a case-by-case basis. Now I'm going to cut the first leg to its final length of 38 centimeters and do a quick test fit on the nightstand to make sure the dimensions look right. Next, I'll draw the taper. I'm going to draw a line from the upper left corner to a point that looks good somewhere along the bottom edge. I'm not using any specific angle or measurement, just what looks right to my eye. It's also important to pay attention to the grain direction. Ideally, the grain would run vertically. On this piece, it's running diagonally, so I need to orient the taper to work with the grain. That makes the leg stronger and less likely to break if it gets hit. We're ready to set up the table saw. I'm going to raise the blade all the way up and adjust both the fence and the blade until they line up with the line I drew. If it isn't absolutely perfect, don't worry about it. Just get it as close as you can. The important thing is that we're going to leave the saw set up exactly the same for both legs, so they'll match each other perfectly. It's safer and easier to make this cut in several passes. Once everything is adjusted, I'll lock the fence in place, lower the blade, and make the first pass. This is a pretty narrow cut, so keep a close eye on your push stick and make sure it stays clear of the blade. And of course, avoid standing directly behind the workpiece as it goes through the saw. Now the first leg is finished. For the second leg, I'm going to draw another line, but this one doesn't have to be very accurate. It's really just a reminder for the orientation of the board. The saw is already set up, so the line isn't guiding the cut anymore. It's just there to make sure I feed the leg through with the grain oriented the way I want. I'll cut this leg exactly the same way as the first one. Now I'm going to look at both legs and decide which face I want to use as the front. I waited until this point to cut the second leg to its final length because I wanted to try a little experiment. If I wanted 4 individual tapered legs, I could cut them out of a longer piece that had already been tapered like this. It actually looks pretty good, but because of the grain direction, these small legs would probably be weaker than legs cut the traditional way. Since the grain runs mostly across the leg, it'd be easier for a piece to crack off if it got hit. With the longer style of legs we're making today, that's much less of a concern because there's simply more material holding everything together. In theory, you could also taper one long board and then cut as many small legs out of it as you wanted. Toward the end, it could get a little sketchy, so I'd leave the board longer than necessary to keep my hands farther from the blade. Or you could build a jig, but if you're going to build a jig, you might as well just make a taper jig in the first place. I might try this out someday, but not today. Now that everything is cut to its final dimensions, I'll do the final sanding, ease all the edges, and add a light 45-degree chamfer. It just gives the legs a cleaner finished look. Next, I'll drill some clearance holes so I can attach the legs to the bottom of the cabinet. In this case, I'm placing them so they won't interfere with the pocket holes underneath. I'm going to countersink these holes, but I don't have a countersink bit, so I'll use a few different drill bits instead. First, I start each hole with a brad point bit for accuracy. It also leaves a cleaner entry hole and helps prevent tear out or splitting. Then I switch to a regular drill bit of the same size to drill the rest of the way through because it's much faster than my brad point bit. I'm drilling these clearance holes with a 3/16 inch bit, which is slightly larger than the threaded diameter of the screws I'm using. That lets the screw shank pass freely through the leg while the head still catches and pulls the leg tightly against the cabinet. Then I'll make the countersinks with a 3/8" drill bit. Whenever I make countersinks this way, tear out is really easy to cause. What works for me is running the drill slowly with light pressure, and as soon as I feel the bit start to grab, I quickly run the drill in reverse to clear out the waste without tearing the wood. Maybe someday I'll buy an actual countersink bit, but hopefully this method will help you if you don't have one either. After finishing the legs with polyurethane, it's time to attach them to the cabinet. I have a piece of 5mm plywood that I'll use as a spacer to set the inset on the sides. I also want the front of the leg slightly farther back from the front of the cabinet, so I'm using 4 little laminate sample cards as spacers too. Playing cards or a thin piece of wood would work just as well. Before driving the screws, I'll make one last check to make sure everything is still lined up. Now I'll carefully place each screw into its hole, making sure not to shift the legs. Next, I'm going to beat them all the way in with a hammer. Just kidding. I'm only giving each screw a light tap so it bites into the wood. It's a little bit of insurance, because sometimes when you drive the first screw, it can shift the leg before you get the others started. For the same reason, I'll tighten all of the screws gradually instead of fully tightening one before moving to the next. I checked the gap around the edges and everything still looks good. So that's it for these legs. Let me know in the comments what you think of this method and whether you like the look. I'll also have another video coming out in the next day or two showing how I built this nightstand from small scraps of Spanish cedar, so check out my channel if that's something you'd be interested in.